This is John McAllister, and welcome to the 9th episode of the Setting Trick podcast. Today, I am excited to share my conversation with Michael Rosenberg. Michael's somebody that I've had the pleasure to get to know and learn from. And he's someone who's had, like, one of the axioms of Michael's that's kind of stuck in my mind is to do your own double dummy analysis. I have to say that I am a fan of Gib, and in practice, in theory, this is great, but in practice, I tend to do a lot of cheating with Gib, and I think I'd probably be a better player if I took more time to do my own double dummy analysis, as Michael says. So it's exciting for me to have Michael on today. We talk about how he learned how to play bridge, which was at a school. He's not exactly sure which came first, but in that vein, I want to just encourage all of my listeners to think about how you were introduced to bridge and how, like, there might be somebody in your life that you know. You might not even know them that well, but, like, is there somebody in your life that you think might enjoy learning bridge? And if so, maybe now's the time for you to go up to speak to that person and say, hey, I want to share this game with you. And I think there's so many positive things that can happen from a conversation like that. So that is my word of advice, my ask of you today. Double Dummy Day is coming up on October 2nd, and we're going to have screenings of the film all over the place. And the idea is to bring that one person to a screening and really give them a sense of, like, all that can come from all that bridge, to really just to showcase bridge. And now here's my conversation with Michael.
You started. I was reading the Scottish Bridge Union book today, and it said that you started playing bridge when you were in school. Will you tell me more about that?
So actually, I'm not certain about the origin of how I started in bridge, because two things happened. I'm never quite sure which way it happened first. One of the things that happened was my father signed up for some bridge lessons and bought a bridge book. And he never took the lessons or read the book, but I read the book. So that happened when I was 16. And also what happened was my school started a bridge club, and I joined that when I was 16. So I'm not quite sure which one of those happened first.
And were you? I know that you were a chess player before you started playing bridge. Did the game come easily to you at first?
Bridge came amazingly easily to me. I don't know why, but I'd been playing chess since I was 9, and I'd gotten reasonably good. But then I felt like I was stagnating in chess, and I was getting frustrated. And then when I found bridge, it was like a relief. I really took to it immediately. I just loved it, and it always came easily to me from the very beginning. I don't know why.
Now, your son Kevin is a pretty good chess player. Do you and Kevin ever? When's the last time you two played chess?
We hardly ever played chess because when we did, if things went badly for him, he would get upset. So we didn't play very much chess.
And what level did you achieve in your chess?
I would say it was approximately what would be called maybe 2200 or 2250 today.
At the age of 16?
Not as strong as international master, but a little below that.
And that was at the age of 16 when you reached that height?
I really reached that about the age of 14, and then I stopped improving.
Wow! So you were
when I was 13, I beat the Scottish champion.
Wow!
I became about like the fourth best player in Scotland at some point, I think. And I played on the Scottish Students' Olympiad team, played for Scotland on the World Students Olympiad, and I played in the World Junior Championship once. So, I was, I had some talent, but I never really became a real expert. Like it was never the same as bridge for me. It was much harder work. Chess is much harder work than bridge in the sense that you've got to keep up with all the opening innovations and things that change. You've got to just study harder and work harder in chess. In bridge, you can stop playing for 6 months and come back, and pretty soon it's like you never stopped. In chess, if you take time off and come back, it takes that much time to catch up again. That's what I found anyway.
I sometimes wonder actually if just the really good chess players if they would just be dominant at bridge, because I find chess to be so challenging.
Well, chess is an element of bridge. It's like chess is a great game, but it's more or less purely analytical. Eventually, even though there's some spatial feeling for it, ultimately it's analytical. In bridge, you have that as part of bridge. That skill is very useful in bridge, but it's not the only skill. There's more skills in bridge that are required, I think.
I've really become obsessed with chess in the last year, and I found that the thinking that is required for me to play chess well has been, and it was one of the reasons I started playing chess, was because I wanted to improve as a bridge player, and I felt like I was sort of having a hard time improving. And I found that the analytic side of chess, where you have to think through your moves, has helped me tremendously with my bridge play.
Absolutely, because in chess it's all about, if they do this, I do this, and in bridge you can do the same thing, especially in the card play. You can really follow card play through like that, and that's how you can get to understand what to do and what not to do sometimes. So that element of they do this, I do that is very important in both games.
So I was reading through some of Bridge, Zia, and me before we got on the phone today, and I must say that I'm intimidated at the prospect of talking with you about bridge, because I was looking at the chapter. It was about suit combinations, and it just made me realize, I mean, we were talking about sevens and sixes, and it just made me realize that you're thinking about the game in a foreign way, really, for me.
Okay, well, a lot of stuff about bridge is really fascinating, but much of it is also not that relevant in terms of translating into being successful at the table. Suit combinations is a pretty classic example of that. I know a lot about suit combinations, but in practice, it's not that important to know all that kind of stuff, because what happens at the table is there's always other things that interfere with the pure odds, the bidding, the psychology, whatever. It's just like it's actually knowing how to play suit combinations is not very important, because the differences tend to be pretty small in the right. Well, it's not as you're talking about very small percentages most of the time. So that knowledge, while I find them fascinating, suit combinations, it's not something while I'm working with juniors, for example, it's not something I ever focus on teaching. It's just not that important. You learn the basic combinations, and that's about it. You don't have to go too deep. It's just fun to do it, but you don't have to do it.
Well, this was going very deep in your book.
My book goes.
Oh, so yeah, I had the following combination at the club the other day. I was playing with a beginner, and I had queen 10 of clubs in what was Declarer's primary suit, and he was in no trump, and I led a spade from the king, and my partner played the jack, and Declarer won the ace at trick 1. So now Declarer plays all his winners. Oh, he was in a heart he was in a 4-2 heart fit. He was in a terrible contract, and now he needs to play the club suit for no losers, because if we get in, we're going to run all our spades. Because my partner had 4 trumps, so he drew my partner's 4 hearts, and he played a club to the ace, and I just couldn't bring myself to play the queen, and and I had overcalled in spades too.
What were Dummy's clubs?
Ace, little. He had King Jack 9. Declare had King Jack 9 fifth. Yeah. He was 5-4-2-2, 4 hearts.
Right, but I mean, reality is if you play the 10, why should he guess right? Why couldn't you have 10 Doubleton?
Yeah, I mean, this is a club game. Like if I had overcalled and he'd already taken the diamond finesse. So I had a 5 count. I had the queen of clubs and the king of spades. I mean, I could have had the queen of spades. I just feel like if I'd played the queen, I mean, I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It was just, I don't know.
It sounds like, by the way, that you couldn't have the queen of spades because you would have led the king of spades.
If I had king, queen, fifth?
Yeah, it wasn't a heart contract.
Oh, that's true.
Likely would have led a high.
That's true. That is true.
Maybe that speaks against the danger of overcalling with very light values as you're giving away what light values you have.
Oh, but it would have been like the sweetest play. Like I would have played the queen of clubs, and now he would have given me a look, and then he would have played a club to the 9 and my 10, and then I would have. I mean, it just. I was thinking about it the whole hand. I was thinking about it the whole hand, and I couldn't bring myself. Yeah.
What if he didn't have the 9?
Well, that was a possibility. I thought that might be a possibility, but then doesn't my partner have a trick coming if my partner has 3 clubs?
Your partner has 9-3 and you have queen 10 Doubleton. If you play the queen, he has no guess. He has to play to the king next because he has no finesse. But if you play the 10, he has a guess. He can play for 10 Doubleton or 10 Singleton. So usually the classic situation for queen 10 Doubleton would be if they bid like 1 spade, 2 spades, 4 spades or something, and dummy has jack 9-3 of spades, and you have queen 10 Doubleton over the jack 9-3, and the player's going to be lucky and find his ace king drops your queen, and you're going to have no losers. But on the ace, you would drop the queen, and now he would play your partner for finesse the 9. That's the classic queen 10 Doubleton situation.
Okay.
A lot of it's the combinations, and that one's actually come up, but
I like that one. It's come up for you recently, or it's come up in your life?
Well, I had recently. I think it has come up recently, but I can't remember the hand.
Well, it was funny because there was a part on playing the 9, and it was pretty much, it wasn't the exact same situation. It was ace jack 9 from where Kevin was playing it with David Gold in Memphis when he played the queen.
9.
Yeah.
Kevin was ace queen 9.
Yeah, but in your book there's an ace. It says ace jack 9. You have to play the jack.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought that was your son is well schooled. You know, I mean he read it in the book.
He's probably got good bridge genes.
So can you tell me how did you come to we have this amazing junior program that you're running with the U.S. Bridge Federation. How did you come? Did you volunteer for that? Did they come recruiting you because Kevin is your son, or what?
Here's what happened. In 2013, I was asked to be a mentor in this program, which has just started, and I got into it. There was like 3 or 4 mentors, and it was pretty disorganized. And I decided what I would do was I would take a more hands-on role. So I eventually started conscripting more mentors. I was trying to get a lot of good players to be mentors, and having it be more organized in terms of the whole process. And Barry Gordon and I basically took over the organization at that point in 2013, and then at some point he dropped out. So it's been just me for a while now. And Debbie was also very involved in the beginning for the first couple of years. I think she was very involved, and then she became more involved in her own Silicon Valley Youth Bridge project. So she kind of dropped away from what I'm doing.
How many hours?
I just became more and more involved as time went on. I started just working as a mentor with one group, and then I eventually just took over the whole thing.
So is it a job for you? I mean, is it joyful? What's like?
It's mostly joyful. It's certainly a job. I spend a lot of time on it, and it's very. I never expected to get a huge production out of it because teaching bridge is really difficult.
Yeah.
And my hope is that I somehow what I say gets through. A little of what I say gets through to a lot of people, and for a few people, that they really come out and learn a lot and become experts in the game, and it becomes a process for them. So I certainly worked a lot with the Groseks when they were already good players, but I think they did learn from me. And the best example I have for what effect I've had is there's one junior who signed onto the program a couple of years ago, and he has sent me literally 5,000 emails, which I have answered every one.
Oh my God.
So
that's Michael Zhu. That's Michael Zhu, who is actually the reason Michael wanted me to interview you for the set. My podcast is called The Setting Trick, and Michael specifically requested that I interview you for the podcast. So
he sent me about 60 just last Thursday.
60.
So yeah, he sends a lot of emails, and I can see that he's obviously changed so much from when I started with him. He's learned a lot, and there's still so much to learn. I like to say in bridge that there's about 10 billion things to learn. And even if you learn 4 or 5 billion, there's still 5 or 6 billion you don't know.
Right.
I don't think anybody really yet has come close to mastering bridge. There's still tons of things that people don't know or understand. And there's lots of things that people think they do understand, which they understand wrongly. And one of my favorite quotes is, I think it comes via Mark Twain, but I think Satchel Paige said it. He said that it's not what you don't know that hurts you; it's what you know that just ain't. That's really important. People think they know stuff, and they're wrong, and it causes them to misunderstand stuff. But if you approach things with the attitude that I don't know or I'm not sure, you have a much better chance of learning and coming to the truth.
Right. Yeah, that's been something that I've been there's been a challenge for me in my life, not just my bridge playing, but my life is just being more curious and not being so certain of outcomes.
It's a good principle, I think. Being certain.
Yeah, and I'm jealous of those kids that they get this great training, this great exposure to you. I think that's a real amazing thing that we can have, like kids like Michael who are really taking advantage of your generosity, and it's exciting to me. I would love to. I'm 43 years old, and I want to become an expert bridge player, and it's hard. Like the way I see it is it's an expensive proposition for me because like hiring players to play is how I get to play against high level competition a lot of the time, and that just. It's the return on dollars isn't necessarily ideal.
So I tell all the juniors that who are in the program is they can ask me any question anytime and I'll answer it. And if they all took advantage of that, then I couldn't, but they don't. So I'm able to do it. You need to build a time machine and go back and become a junior again, and then you can ask me all the questions.
How do you when they're actually playing on Sunday nights, like what are you doing at that time?
So we play Sundays and Mondays. Sundays are many more than Mondays. More people come on Sundays. So I'm organizing on Sundays. There's about 12 or 13 groups, let's say, and I'm first of all making sure that each group has some kind of logical alignment. So that there's either 4 in the group, or there's 6 with 3 pairs rotating, or there's a team match with another group, or a team match within the group. So I have to figure out, and based on who's coming and who's not coming each week, I keep an attendance sheet, so I know who's coming and who's not coming each week. And sometimes then people don't come when they're supposed to come. So I have to try and sort out at the beginning. The first 15 minutes is usually a bit hectic, trying to get everything sorted out, and then it calms down. And then I also almost always run a group myself. I'll be mentoring, and that'll take mentoring takes various forms. originally what we did was we just had them play and then commented, either after every hand or after every few hands. And then one of the things I sort of like to do was to play for half the time and then go to a Google chat room for the other half of the time, because that way you get more involvement from the juniors to ask them questions and have them answer and have them say what they're thinking. Whereas at the table, they'll often just not talk and they'll just listen to what you say.
Right.
I like to get them involved in playing.
Yeah.
And now what we're doing for many of the groups, which I think is quite a good thing, is let's say we have a team match of 16 boards. So the mentor will tell each of the 8 juniors to write up 2 hands themselves, and then in the email, and then they'll have a back and forth comment about what they write up. The best mentors for these matters have been Dave Caprera. He's gotten an amazing amount of feedback from juniors and involvement from juniors that almost no other mentor has done, including myself. He's done an amazing job.
Huh. Well, Dave was on this podcast, actually, the last episode, promoting his book, and the profits from his book are going to the junior program, actually. Can you tell me more about Dave, just his mentoring? I'm glad to hear it. I know he takes a lot of pride in being involved with the junior program.
And he has a different
what seems to me
than most mentors. He can be maybe a little non-PC sometimes. He's fun, and obviously the kids find him fun, and he gets a response from them, and that's what's important to me is somehow evoking that response from them. Come out and say stuff, to ask questions, to argue, whatever it is. He's been really good.
So, do you have a contract with the USBF?
No, there's absolutely contract. It's all volunteer. There's nothing. It's not official. I don't even know if my role is official, but I'm what's called the organizer of the USBF Junior Training Program, and Joe Stokes is the coordinator.
Yeah. Joe's in the opening scene of Double Dummy. He said,
"Sorry, what was
that? Joe's in the opening scene of Double Dummy."
Right. I remember.
Yeah, he was one of the first people I met in the USBF in the process of making the film, like getting their permission to film. This was in 2012, so it was before you became involved. And I'm curious now to think what the program was like in that time.
Right. Well, before I started, I think it might have been Joe who contacted me initially asking me to be a mentor, and they had like a couple, like maybe 3 or 4 guys who were doing mentoring, but they weren't like top experts. And I conscripted people like Joel Woolridge and other top experts to Fred Gittleman to be mentors, and they were for a while, but they're not anymore. But it's a hard thing to want to keep doing week after week after week, I understand.
So you recently won the mixed trials with Andrew Rosenthal's team, and then you went on to win the USA 2 senior spot in the trials.
And first, Open Trials final, by the way.
You lost in the Open Trials final?
Before that, right. I was there for 33 nights. I played 28 days of the days I was there.
You must have been playing pretty well.
I didn't play that well, but I guess I played well enough.
I mean, you were in the thick of it. Well, I guess you were USA 2 for the mixed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'd love to be USA 2 one day.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I found out, when I was doing research for this interview, that you hadn't won the Bermuda Bowl before until 2017. For some reason, I thought you won the Bermuda Bowl with Zia, but that was wrong. I saw you won the Rosenblum in the 90s.
I played 3 times with Zia. The first time we were 4th. The second time we were 3rd. The third time we were 2nd. And then he broke out with me and he won.
Because you had
Finally,
reached out to me. I think you were on the flight. Whose team were you on? Fleischer? Were you Fleischer when you won the Bermuda Bowl? No.
17 was Fleischer, yeah.
Was Fleischer you won?
That's who I won with, was Fleischer in 2016.
Because you had reached out to me about wanting to play the trials for 2018, I think, and then you went and won the Bermuda Bowl. Because you wanted to win the Bermuda Bowl, but you were ahead of schedule. You were wanting me to hire you for the trials, and I was flattered by that.
That was the year after the Bermuda Bowl, right?
Yeah, but I think it was before you actually won.
That's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So are you playing on the seniors then? Is that the I heard that was that you were obligated to play if you.
The rules are that you have to drop off any previous thing you qualified in. The last one you qualify in is the one you play on. That's what the rule is.
So
my mixed team knew that going in.
You did know that?
Yeah, the mixed team knew that going in. Everybody knew what was the situation going in, so there was no surprises.
So are they going to add are you even replaceable for the mixed team? Are they going to have to add 2 players, 1 player?
They're going to. We were actually 5-handed. Yeah. They were always planning to add another female, but now they're going to add a male and a female.
And so that we don't know who they are. Those people.
Sorry?
We don't know who those people are. They haven't decided who they are.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you played with Chris and Migri, and I've started working with Chris some online, learning the game from him. And I was trying to find your Hall of Fame speech online, but it's not available, at least in my Googling. But Chris said that you paid him quite a compliment in your Hall of Fame speech.
Yeah, I don't have a copy of it either, so I can't tell you.
He said that you had learned a lot. That he was one of the people that you'd learned a lot about bridge from. Or that might not have been the exact words.
Amazing amount of knowledge for somebody. I mean, when I started playing with him, he was in his 30s, I think, and he had an amazing amount of knowledge for somebody that young, I thought, about bidding.
Yeah, I've seen him. I have the memory of being with him once early on in my NABC days, and the director came up to him and gave him a hand about problem hand, and it was just amazing his insight was so. He just had so much insight into what the situation was at the table, just based on what seemed like not that much information from my vantage point.
Right. Chris actually reminds me a little bit of Ira Rubin.
Huh.
He just has an amazing amount of knowledge about everything, especially to do with bidding. And it's also pretty opinionated, but but justifiably, because they know both of them knew a lot.
Yeah.
I remember I used to talk to Ira Rubin quite a lot in the 80s, and I would give him a hand, and he would look at the hand and say, "There is no option where this hand can be a problem."
And how did that make you feel at the time?
I thought it was funny.
Well, that's a good opportunity for me to give you a hand from the local club game I played in yesterday.
Okay.
King third, singleton, ace queen 10 fourth, king queen fifth.
Okay.
It's everybody vulnerable. Your partner opens the bidding 1 club, and your right-hand opponent doubles, and you're playing no methods at all. So even you don't have an agreement, you don't have any agreement. Not. I don't know that if you had an agreement like 2-no trump being a limit plus and clubs, if you would use that, or if you would bid
that's
hard splinter or what.
That's pure agreement, because it often would be wrong side 3-no trump. A better agreement is to play that 2-no trump is preemptive, and that some artificial bid such as 2 diamonds would be a limit raise or better. But with that, if you weren't playing any of that, then you'd probably redouble 1 club to start off with.
Okay, so you do that, and it comes back to your right, and your guy on your right jumps to 2 hearts.
Okay, on your left, yeah.
No, the doubler was on your right. It goes one club double. He's the doubler. Everybody passed my redouble, and he jumped to 2 hearts.
Doubles and jump 2 hearts over the redouble. Okay, that's unusual.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like 3 hearts might be the indicated bid now, because it would suggest that you have short hearts with club support, which is what you have.
Yeah, so I bid 3 hearts, and my partner bids 3 spades. And you're not even playing key card.
I mean, I presume that we're in a game course. Can I be comfortable that my partner won't pass 4 clubs?
I don't know. I don't know.
Right. I'm not comfortable my partner won't pass 4 clubs. I'd bid 5 clubs.
Okay.
And if I am comfortable, I'd bid 4 clubs. I guess I could try something else like 4 dimes or something, but you're not playing key card, you said. So you're not playing key card. Actually, that could be good in this hand because actually all you need is aces. So if you were playing 14-30, you could actually bid 4 no trump if that was somehow just got a 5 club response. So here you just have to bid either 5. And you could bid 4 dimes, but I would never do that in an unfamiliar partnership because they might be just the guy of diamonds. So I'd either bid 4 clubs if I thought it was forcing, or 5 clubs if I thought it wasn't.
Yeah. I made the heroic bid of 6 clubs, which was not a success.
Too likely.
What's that?
It's too likely you're missing 2 aces.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I was thinking was at the table was that if my right hand opponent has the king of diamonds, then it's that's a good card. But I think it was a little.
Absolutely.
What's that?
That's absolutely true. But the jump to 2 hearts suggests he has ace 4 of spades and ace king queen 6 of hearts, something like that.
I know. I agree. I think it's. I think it was faulty thinking at the time. It was wishful thinking. What do you play with? Did you play the seniors with Zia also?
No, I played the seniors against Zia in the final of USA 2, but in the I played with I actually started playing with Jeff Wilson.
Oh, you're playing with Jeff as his partner.
As his partner, that's how we started. But about halfway through, Jeff decided that he wanted me to play more boards, so he switched. He was playing with Steve Garner was playing with Mark Lear, and I was playing with Jeff. So Jeff switched to Steve, who was his partner in the Open trials, and I played with Mark Lear. So we started a partnership.
Huh.
And
right in the middle of
it. After we won, I mean, we put in several hours of work just talking in Schaumburg. But in the week since we won, I've now spent maybe probably more than 50 hours preparing system notes with him.
Huh.
And I just sent them to him, and we have a lot of emails back and forth. We're working very hard. But I always believe in trying to get things right. I don't like having misunderstandings. I always want to know what I'm doing at the table, to know what's forcing, what's blackwood, what's everything, what everything means. So that's what I'm doing.
What would you play? What would you have played with Mark in this situation? Like, what would you have bid over 1 club double?
Well, now in the trials, I would have had to redouble because we didn't have any way to make a forcing bid. But now we have the agreement that 1 club double 2 dimes, which would be a forcing raise in clubs, artificial forcing raise.
Forcing for 1 round.
Forcing to 3 clubs. Forcing limit raiser.
Gotcha. Huh.
Now, if it was unpassed hand, if they didn't double a club, I like to play inverted minors as game forcing, so we play a club 2 clubs as game forcing, and guaranteeing 5 clubs, which gives you a lot of advantages.
And what do you play with the limit raise of clubs?
2 spades.
That's what Migger and I played.
All my jump shifts after 1 of a minor are artificial.
Huh. What about a club 3 higher?
Club 3 clubs is mixed raise, and a club higher than that would be preemptive, not a splinter.
Huh. That's interesting because Kevin, when I played with Kevin, I felt like Kevin wanted to play that as a splinter. But maybe,
yeah. I think that preemptive bid, that like being able to bid with like King Jack 10-7 or something, is really useful. It's a very good descriptive bid, and makes it very hard for the opponents. So when it comes up, quite good. And splinters, you can go through 2 clubs, so you don't need it so much.
Right. So you were before, in the mid-2000s, in my research, it said that you switched from being a part-time professional player to a full-time professional player.
Right. I was a trader on the stock exchange from 1978 to 2003, basically.
Huh.
And then I quit. I quit in 2003. And since then, I've been full-time.
What did you trade?
I traded stock options on the floor of the American Stock Exchange.
So not like one particular...
No, I mean, I moved around and did different stuff. I mean, I spent a couple of 2 or 3 years at one place. Like in the mid-90s, I was in U.S. robotics a lot. But
Were you a good trader?
No. But I made a lot of money because it was easy to make a lot of money. Yeah, certainly, if you took my abilities at trading compared to my abilities at bridge, I don't think I was a very good trader. I knew enough. I just didn't have the instinct for it exactly. I don't think.
You weren't that interested in trading. Is that what you said?
Well, in the beginning, I was interested. I found it quite interesting, and maybe I was better then, in fact. But at some point, the whole game got boring to me, and I started not liking some of the people so much. Maybe so. It began to pull on me, and I was very glad to quit it when I eventually quit it.
So have you played bridge since the trials?
No.
But you're doing a lot of work bridge related.
I'm actually working with another client later today, and I'm also going to play bridge tomorrow with a client, and then we're going to also work with juniors. The client is arranging for the juniors to come to the club, and we go over the hands after the game. So it's something I'm doing tomorrow.
Have you gotten better in chess since like you had that sort of doldrum in your mid-teens?
No, I mean I'm not as good a player as I was when I was 16. Not even close. I'd estimate myself now as maybe like 1800. Maybe I'm not nearly as strong a player. But I still follow chess. I still follow the top players in the games and everything, and I'm interested. But I'm certainly nothing like the player I was. My peak was when I was, like 14 to 16. That was my peak basically. I didn't get better after that.
You were from Glasgow, right?
I played till I was 18, but.
And then you went to university for law, and that didn't take. Right,
I didn't take. My highlight in chess was beating the English player, because whenever we played England, that was always very important. In the World Students' Olympiad in Austria, I beat English player Peter Markland, who now is about, I think, like a 2400 something player was anyway. But that was one of my highlights in chess.
You ever get stopped on the street by people that recognize you from bridge?
It's happened not very often. It's happened once or twice. The worst is when they come up to me and say hello or something like I should know them, and I should know them, but I just don't remember them. I usually just say sorry, I don't remember you, because I just like to be honest most of the time. But occasionally I'll go along with it and pretend I know them.
So do you go over every hand from the trials with your partner or on your own? Like, what's your review process like? How do you like? Do you feel like you're still getting better as a bridge player?
I feel like I'm learning more. Always, I always feel like I'm learning things. I'm not necessarily getting better, but I feel like I'm learning stuff. I certainly feel like in knowledge that I have, I can match almost anybody in the game.
Yeah.
But in play, I don't feel like I'm as strong as several of the other players. They're just better players than I am. They make fewer mistakes.
Wow.
But that's just the way I've mostly always felt about my game. But certainly there's always stuff to learn. There's so much to learn always. Some of them are little things. Some of them are big things. One of the things I often try and learn is what I call what works. And there are things that I don't understand, but they always seem to be true, and I don't understand why it's true, but I just follow those things and keep doing them until such time as they're proved not true. So,
can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 examples. One is actually an example I like to talk about because I told Kevin this rule about it was several years ago, maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I told him this rule. I said, when you have a void and the opponents and you're having a bid and raise odds, you're both bidding thing. If you have a void, just always bid one more. And he said, Dad, that's the stupidest rule I've ever heard. And then about a year later, he came to me and said, you know that rule you told me about the void? It's right.
I had a void the other day, and it was at the club, so I don't know, like the data set is that valid, but I bid to the 5 level, and unfortunately they were going down in their contract, and we were not. I had a void in their trump suit.
Obviously, everything has to be case dependent, but the principle is what you follow. Another one is, let's say you open the bidding, you open like one diamond or something, and it goes 3 hearts pass, and you have some 18 count or 19 count for the stopper and heart, and you have no idea how you're going to get to your trump. You're looking at like 4 tricks or 3 tricks, so like no idea how you. It's always right to bid for your trump. Wow. I don't know why, but it's always right.
Wow.
These are like mysteries to me that I don't understand exactly, but I just
even
follow
if you're
them.
Vulnerable.
What's that?
Even if you're vulnerable.
Exactly. Especially if you're vulnerable.
Wow.
That's when it works best. Because then you win 12 and 10, or 12 instead of 6 or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Oh man, I remember playing it. We played against you in the finals of the Sillador pairs, and I was playing with Jovi Smederova, and you were playing with Adam Grosek in Memphis, and we sat against you guys the first round of the evening session of the final, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, I think this is the biggest compliment I've ever been paid as a bridge player, that I'm sitting against Michael Rosenberg and Adam Grosek in the first round of a pair game. I don't know what happened to the seedings, but I'll take it.
Bid 4 diamonds. If that's the same thing, you win a diamond double, you bid 4 diamonds. Maybe that was a different thing, but I remember the signs were.
Well,
Adam bid
4 when you bid 4 hearts?
Adam bid 4 hearts. When diamond I doubled, you bid 4 diamonds, Adam bid 4 hearts, and the preempted pushed us into a contract that we might not have gotten to, and it made, which is very common for preempts.
Now I was thinking about the other hand, where I opened 3 clubs with my 6-4 Yarborough, and you passed, and Jovi bid 4 clubs, and now Adam doubled, and you bid 4 hearts with your 6 hearts, and he passed, and it was just such a pleasure. Like, you had the queen.
I remember that hand.
Queen
right.
X of clubs, and Jovi led away from her king, and it was just like such a pleasure to watch you play this hand. Like, and you ended up making 6. It was just like, it was like watching a master at his craft. Yeah, I think that's the best way that I could to describe it. And I could I was at a level that I could appreciate all of the subtlety, or a lot of the subtleties that were taking place.
Right. Well, when you play a hand, you're looking for perfection. You're looking for. There's 2 things to know about when you, in terms of playing bridge. You want to be able to figure out the hands, as well as you can. But then once you do that, you've got to be able to know what to do once you figured that out, and that you do by the knowledge you bring to the table. So first is what you do at the table, but you have to first bring the knowledge to the table so as to know what to do when you find out what's going on at the table. It's 2 separate things.
So you're going to the club to play tomorrow. Is Debbie's not in Turkey, is she?
She's not in Turkey, no, she's here.
And what about Kevin? He's in Australia?
He's in Australia right now. He's going to actually fly straight back to Vegas for the Nationals. I'm actually playing with Kevin in the Life Master Pairs.
Oh, that's a treat.
I told him several years ago that once he graduated, I'd play with him in the next National Pair game.
That's your graduation present?
sort of. No, I don't know if that's it. I don't think about things like that, but maybe. Although David Gould's going to be a hard act to follow. They did pretty well.
They finished third?
Fourth, I think.
Fourth.
But it was very close. Like the top four pairs, there was like nothing between them.
Yeah, Kevin's. I've had the pleasure of playing with Kevin recently, and he's a talented young man.
He's really talented. I've always sort of hoped that he doesn't follow me into full-time bridge, but and now he's got a job. He's going to be working in computer science starting in September. So I'm kind of happy about that. But I feel like I was lucky that I didn't finish school and I sort of lucked into this first into the options thing and then into this bridge professional stuff, because it's very lucky to be able to do what you love and get paid for it. It's obviously not many people get to do that, so I know I'm very lucky.
I mean, I love playing bridge. I just like, even if I'm going to the club to play, I'm just excited if I get to play cards. I mean, it's an amazing phenomenon.
It is. I mean, the game is just totally amazing. There's no other game even close to it, as far as I'm concerned.
Chess is a good game, though. I mean, gosh.
Fascinating. It just gets to be too much drudgery. And chess does some things better than bridge. I mean, certainly nobody complains about slow play in chess.
Because you have timed.
Yeah. That's something that chess does clearly better than we do. Ratings are much better in chess. Ratings in chess mean ratings in bridge mean virtually nothing. So the chess does a lot of things better than we do. But chess is an easier game to do things well in some ways. It's a more finite and, I'm not going to say simple, but it's just a more clear-cut game. Bridge is a little more grey in a lot of areas. Bridge has ethics. Bridge has so many elements.
What did you open with the white pieces in chess?
E4, always.
And E5 in response to E5?
I played the Ruy Lopez. If I called it the Ruy Lopez.
I love that I even know what that is. I'm going to have to look into that more.
I played the French defense against E4, and I played the Grunfeld defense against D4. I could. I always played the same moves in the openings because I didn't want to learn more openings. It was bad enough I had to learn what I was playing.
Yeah, Kevin says that he plays chess pretty regularly, I think, and he's up there around I think he's up around 2,200 is what he told me, but I could be wrong about that.
High. He's over 2,000, but he's not that high.
I have yet to play. I was reading an article about this woman playing in her first chess tournament, and it sounded so exciting to me. And then I got to the part of the article where it says that all of her opponents were children, and I was a little intimidated at the prospect of showing up at a chess tournament. Right. Children.
Yeah. Well, the young people like to play chess, and it's a great game for young people. It teaches them how to think. It's really good.
Do you think that's achievable for bridge? Do you think we can have the same penetration with young people as chess?
We need marketing of some kind. It's very, very difficult because the trouble with bridge, if you take chess, you can take somebody, teach them the rules in 10, 15 minutes, and they can sit down and play chess right away.
Yeah.
In bridge, it's so complicated to teach the beginning. It's like there's so many things to understand before you can really properly play. And I think what happens, which is wrong, is that bidding is easier to teach than card play. So people start off by teaching bidding, which is totally wrong in theory because the bidding itself makes no sense except in relation to the card. The bid is a function of how the cards are going to be played, whereas the card play can be taught independent of the bidding, at least in terms of how the card play works, what takes tricks, what doesn't take tricks. It's true you need to understand the bidding in order to play the cards well, because you need to know what to do based on what they bid and what they didn't bid. But you can understand how card play works without knowing anything about bidding. The reverse is not true. You cannot understand bidding without understanding something about card play. Learn bidding, but you can't understand it.
Have you played Hool?
No.
Do you know about it?
I've heard about it. I don't know what it is.
It's 2 rounds of bidding, and you can disclose one of 3 things about your hand: your length in a specific suit, your overall distribution, not non-specifically, or your high card points. And then after 2 rounds of bidding, you place everybody gets a chance to say what they want the contract to be, and then they get one more chance to say what the contract to be, and then you play, and you have a record of all these things. So like, you know that, like if you said you're 6-4-2-1, now you know, like, it's cool. What I like about it is that, it teaches people what's important about your hand to share with your partner, so that I think people will like, okay, I have 6 spades, I have 16 high card points, and I have 4 diamonds. Like, how do I tell my partner that in the bidding? So I feel like people will come to the bidding naturally, potentially, if we teach them Hool before bridge.
Right, maybe that's true. I don't know, and this is not my strength, is how to market things. I just don't know how to do it. What I do know is that personally, bridge is all I need. I don't want any variations of bridge. I just want to play bridge. I don't need anything more.
What are you and Mark doing with these 50 hours together? Like, how are you coming up with the system notes? Like, can you give me some more insight into that process?
And him after Schoenberg, we talked in Schoenberg about what we're going to play. We made a card. We made lots of agreements, and then after Schoenberg, I sent him 3 emails with a total of about 130 questions.
Wow!
And once he answered all those questions, I then wrote up system notes, which took me many hours to try and put all our agreements together for every auction that we had made. And now we're still sending emails back and forth discussing various details about those notes I just sent.
So you started from scratch with these systems?
Yes. I mean, you start from scratch, but you have like what would be called expert standard, and you sit down and you say, we're playing this, we're playing that, right? Because that's what everybody does. And then everybody has their own peccadillos and variations that they like to change from what's normal. So the idea is to know what those are and to be on the same wavelength. And that's just system. It's also style, to know what hands your partner would open, what hands he's going to overcall on, what hands he's going to respond on, to know all these things about your partner, what hands he's going to preempt on. So just to learn all these things takes a lot of question and answer back and forth to learn these things about your partner.
And so with the 130 questions, were a lot of them, did you give him specific hands and situations and ask him like what he would do, or were they broader than that?
I don't think I gave him specific hands very often, but specific options, yes, a lot.
Wow, that's amazing to me that you're starting from scratch on a set of system notes.
Right. Actually, most of my early life, in fact, until about 2007 when I broke up with Zia, I didn't like bidding that much. I wasn't interested in bidding that much. I thought, I want to get the bidding over so we can get to the important thing of the play.
Yeah.
And part of me still feels that way, but once I could be in some kind of partnership where I felt like my partner would be on maybe playing my way or be on the same wavelength, I started taking much more interest in the theory of bidding. So in the last 12 years, I've learned a lot about the theory of bidding, and I know so much more about bidding now than I did then. Like when I wrote my book, I didn't know that much about it. But I know a lot more now. I have a lot more information now about all the options. That everything. When Mark says, "What about this problem?" I says, "Well, I have a fix for that." And I says, "If you notice, I've always got a fix for everything." Because I just have a lot of answers now to basic bidding problems that they're just in standard doesn't cover very well.
So does it say in your notes, one no trump 15 to 17 or whatever?
It says 14 bluff to 17. It says everything.
Huh. And are you guys going to play any before? Like, what do you need to tune up with him? Do you need to play with him, or do you just need to talk, or how are you approaching that?
Right, we're certainly going to bid hands online. we have discussed maybe getting together for a regional or something beforehand so as we could play live. Well, I'm sure we'll play online also against opponents if we don't play live. So we're certainly going to do some kind of practice, yeah.
And so for the Dorsey, I think the Dorsey is what you're playing for. Is that right? The seniors.
Yeah.
So the lineup is going to be you playing with Mark, Jeff playing with Steve, and is there another pair?
Berkowitz and Sontag.
Ah, Berkowitz and Sontag. Huh.
My first seniors was in 2015 when I played with Zia on Reese Milner's team, and we won the trials and we won the world championship.
Reese is a tough out, by the way, in the seniors.
Reese is the #1 ranked senior in the world.
I know.
Beating him in the final of this tournament was of the USA 2 seniors. That was an achievement.
I know, man. I'm saying Reese is a tough out. The guy wins seniors. He takes.
And they actually beat us overall because we played them in the USA 1 part of the semi-final, the quarterfinal of USA 1. I think it was the semi-final of USA 1, and they beat us by 25 imps. And then we beat them in the final by 21 imps. So they won by 4 imps, but we're going and they're not.
Is it different? Like, is the Bermuda Bowl a different level of excitement for you?
Yes, it is, absolutely. Definitely, the actual World Championship is a different level of excitement. It's like a step up. While I'd be very disappointed, I'm always disappointed when we don't win for playing something else. Bermuda Bowl is like the maximum pressure and excitement. It's like there's nothing like it. Or the Olympiad final, or the Rosenblum final. But the Rosenblum not so much anymore because they've shortened the matches and made it not quite so made it a bit more random perhaps. But
Michael Klukowski is owning that event.
What's that?
Michael Klukowski's won the last 2 Rosenblums.
Is that right? Okay. He's had a lot of success. He's had a lot of success for somebody that young. I mean, he's won a Bermuda Bowl also, right?
He has in Chennai.
Yeah.
And he won another world championship. I think he won another. I think he's won 4.
Right. I heard by the way recently, or I just saw it on Bridge Winners that he's on the Monaco team right now, and but Zimmerman is leaving Monaco, so I don't know what's going to happen with that team now, or what's going to happen to Klukowski. Maybe he's going to go back to Poland.
I saw that. So he was actually he was going to repatriate to Klukowski was going to repatriate to Monaco.
Right, but now he's not, I guess.
Huh. Yeah, I saw Zimmerman's going back to play for Switzerland.
Yeah.
So this like going through like let's say you made a mistake in one of the trials. Like how do you bring it up with your partner? Like how do you sort through that process of
going through what? Sorry.
If you make a mistake, like you have a bidding misunderstanding, or like I remember when I've played a little bit with you, and one of the things that you said that left an impression on me was that to always always follow up on misunderstandings. So like how do you decompress from the trials? Like how do you go through that process?
Right. Well, the first thing is usually to say nothing at the table if you can avoid it, because it's just disturbing to partner. And then you want to, after the set, if it's a mistake that's not partnership related, and you know your partner knows about it, there's no point saying anything still. If it's your own mistake, it's usually better to just fess up to it and say, I did this wrong, so it's just so your partner's not wondering. And if it's a partnership problem, you just say, well, we had this misunderstanding. What are we going to do so we don't have it again? That's what you always want to do. Is you say, you thought this bid was forcing, I thought it was not forcing. What agreement can we make overall so that we'll know for sure this kind of type of situation? Because I'm a big believer in trying to make agreements which are both clear and easy to remember. So you want agreements that, like always or never, are good agreements, because that way they're easy to remember.
Right.
You just got to go through. I mean, I go through every hand myself, basically, just to learn. But with my partner, I'll only go through the hands if they want to go through the hands. Mostly, I'm not going to force them to go through the hands if they don't want to. But if it's a misunderstanding, yes, we have to kind of resolve that. It has to be done.
And when you go through the hands, are you going through them with like a fine-tooth comb?
Yes. Basically, I'm looking for everything, both about the partnership, also just about personal knowledge, about the opponents, about whatever it is I can learn.
Wow. I mean, do you feel like you're as good a bridge player as you've been right now?
Sorry, what?
Do you feel like you're as good of a player as you've ever been?
I feel like I know more than I ever have. I don't think I don't know if I'm as good a player as I've ever been. I don't know that. I think I was a more intuitive and better dummy player years ago than I am now. I seem to have more. I still do something. I still play some hands well, but I think I get more wrong than I used to right now. That's how I feel right now.
Huh.
It goes in cycles.
Who's your...
It's like our contest stuff I could not do right now as well as in the late, when I played in the late 90s. I couldn't do that again without doing a lot of studying.
Who's a tough opponent?
There's lots of them. I mean, all the good players are opponents. You take all the, Max Roth, Bill, Levin and Weinstein, Greco and Hampson, Grew and Moss. There's lots of tough opponents.
Give me an example of like a compliment that you've paid to an opponent recently.
Example of what, sorry?
Of a compliment you've paid to an opponent recently.
I just said to somebody, well played or well done, some hand they got really, really right. I totally can't remember what the hand was. I can't remember who it was or what the hand was. I just remember this thing where they just did everything right on a hand. That's something I like to do, is when my opponent does something good, I like to say well done.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice part of the game.
Yeah, I think so too. Rather than complain about it.
Right. It really annoys me playing against people who, if you get a good result against them, they're going to complain. It's like, it's like taking away the fun.
Yeah.
I can't leave without saying what I think is the most important principle of bridge, because Michael Shue will be upset if I don't say it, and other juniors. So I was just going to say the most important principle of bridge is knock out the ace.
Knock out the ace.
That's it.
Okay. All right. Well, you're generous with your time to me and to these juniors, and it's good having you in the game. So thank you very much for doing this for me.
Thank you very much, John. Take care.
Anyone who's listened closely to the podcast will notice that the transition from the music to the introduction was quite abrupt. We are looking for an intern to help with a lot of the more technical matters of creating this podcast. If you know someone or you yourself are interested in filling that role, please send me an email. It's john@doubledummymovie.com. I would very much like to hear from you. The more that we can help streamline the process of making these episodes, the easier it will be for me to do them. Thanks again for listening, and we love hearing your feedback. Until next time.